Class, in the last video, you have learned about the conditions for work to be done. Now the next topic is situations of no work done. So that cases which do not fulfill the conditions of work to be done are the situations of no work done. The first situation is when there is no force applied. In this case, like when you are doing any mental work, or when you reading a book, when you watching this video, or any object, like when you are lying on a ground, or any object when it is on the surface, in that cases no force is applied. When you are reading a book, when you are studying, or when you are watching this video, there is no force applied. When you are lying on the ground, there is also no force applied. So in such cases, when there is no force applied, no work is said to be done. The second situation is when a force is applied but there is no displacement. Example, if a boy is pushing a wall hard, if any boy is pushing a wall, or if when you are pushing a wall, you are applying a force on the wall but the wall does not move. So in that situation, wall does not displace, does not move. So you applied the force but the wall is not displaced, no displacement takes place here. So in this situation, no work is said to be done. Even when a coolie is standing at one place with a heavy load on his head, or when a weightlifter is holding a weight on his head, the force of gravity is acting on the load. Force of gravity means the force exerted by the earth on any object towards its center. So the force of gravity is acting on the load, but the load remains on his head without any displacement. The load remains on the head of the coolie, it does not displaced. So in these cases, the force is applied on the object but object do not displace, there is no displacement can be seen on the object. So in such cases, when force is applied but there is no displacement, there is no work is said to be done. The next situation is when a force is applied, the object moves but comes back to the starting point. Means force is applied on the object moves also, but it comes back to its starting point. Means this situation, the displacement is zero. As you all know that displacement is the shortest path between the initial and the final position of any object. But when any object starts moving from any point and it turns back or it comes back to its starting point, at that situation the displacement is zero. So in this situation, when a force is applied, the object moves but comes back to the starting point, means the displacement is zero, so work is also zero. The formula of work is equal to force into displacement. So work is equal to force into displacement. When displacement is equal to 0, so F into 0 is equal to 0, means work is equal to 0. Let's take an example. When you push a trolley around a circular park and return to the point where you had started, means you had come to the initial point. Your final point and initial point is the same here. So in this case, a force is acting on the trolley but there is no displacement, means the initial and final point is same. So there is no displacement and hence no work is said to be done here. The next situation is when a force is acting on the object moves but not because of the applied force, means when force and displacement are at right angles to each other. So work is not said to be done when an object moves at 90 degree to the direction of force. It moves to 90 degree and the force exerts towards downwards vertical direction and the object moves towards horizontal direction. So there forms an angle of 90 degrees. So in that situation no work is said to be done. Let's take an example. If you are walking while carrying a bucket of water in your hand or while carrying a suitcase in your hand, the suitcase or bucket moves, but the force applied on the bucket or on the suitcase, that is force of gravity, is in the vertically downwards direction. As you all know that force of gravity is the force exerted by earth towards its center on any object. So this force applied by the earth is in the vertical direction towards downwards. So the force applied on the bucket or on the suitcase is in the vertical direction or downward direction, whereas the displacement shows on the bucket is in horizontal direction. So it forms an angle of 90 degree. So a vertical force can never cause a horizontal displacement. So the displacement of the suitcase or the displacement of the bucket is not due to the force of gravity acting on it. Means in this situation the object moves but not due to the applied force on it. So in this situation no work is said to be done. Means no work is done by the force of gravity in this case. So you can say that there can be no work done if the directions of the applied force and the displacement are at right angles to each other. You can understand it by also putting the values in the formula. As the formula of work is equal to force multiplied by displacement. So displacement is at the cos theta. शायद आप लोगों ने cos थीटा sin थीटा भी नहीं पढ़ा हुआ है, आप फर्दर क्लासेस में इसको पढ़ेंगे, बट मैं बता दे रही हूँ इसको f into cos थीटा. तो here the cos थीटा is 90 degree, so f into cos 90 degree. Here work done w is equal to f into cos 90 degree. Value of cos 90 degree is 0. So w is equal to f multiplied by 0. So w is equal to 0. So in that situation the work obtained is 0. So no work is said to be done here. Don't be panic or don't get worried about that you have not learnt about, you don't know about the sin theta or cos theta. You have learnt about it in further classes. It's just another way to express this situation. So you only have to remember that when directions of the applied force and the displacement are at right angles to each other, in that situation no work is said to be done. The next is measuring work. How can you measure work? Work can be defined as the product of force and displacement in the direction of the force. Means work is equal to force multiplied by displacement, or you can say W is equal to F into S. So when greater the magnitude of the force applied, more is the work done, and when greater the displacement, more is work done. So work is directly proportional to force and displacement. Since the unit of force is Newton and the unit of displacement is meter, so the unit of work is Newton meter, or you can say 1 Newton meter is also called a joule. So its symbol is J. So the SI unit of work is joule. Now 1 joule can be defined as the amount of work done if 1 Newton force causes a displacement of 1 meter in the direction of the applied force. So 1 joule is equal to, or 1 J is equal to 1 Newton multiplied by 1 meter, or 1 Newton meter. The larger unit of work is kilojoule or kJ. So by this formula, work is equal to force multiplied by displacement. If displacement is 0, then W is equal to F into 0. So W is equal to, or work is equal to 0, means work done will be 0. And if either of the force applied or the displacement changes, the amount of work done also changes, because Verb is directly proportional to force and displacement.